everyone, this is Julia from Crafting Adventures for Sunny Studio Stamps, and today I'm super excited to share this fun holiday slimline card with you. I stamped out all of my images from Holiday Express onto Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I'm using my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers to color them in. I always leave the caps facing up so you can see the numbers I'm using. For this one, I'm using 97, 903, and 902. The 902 is for the wheels on my train, and then I'm using my colorless blender to blend out the colors. Using a scratch piece of paper just to wipe off my brush or the tip of my blender pen so I don't drag too much of the dark pigment around. Then I'm bringing the 902 back to just color in the little rivets. Then I'm bringing in number 50 and 51 for the headlights. And for my red shade, I'm using the color 260 as my darkest shade, which is like a deep, dull red, just wherever I wanted the shades to be darkest. And then I'm blending that out with a color 29, which is like a pinkish red. Well, not really pinkish, but you know, more of a pink toned red, not orange. Then I'm blending that out with a colorless blender. Being really careful with this one because red pigment is tricky if you get it somewhere you don't want it. Just using my scratch piece of paper to wipe off the tip of the blender. Adding a little bit more of the 24 so that the right side of the train would be a bit darker. And then blending everything out with a colorless blender. Then for my contrasting shade on my train, I'm going in with a teal. So I'm using number 38 and then number 33. Just pulling the darkest shade out a little bit further. And then I'm going in with a colorless blender to blend everything out. Just going over everything until I'm happy with the blend. Did accidentally pull in a little bit red, so I had to fix that. Then I'm going in with 48 as my green shade. I wanted to keep the Christmas trees fairly light, so I'm just adding a little bit of the 48 and I'm pulling the color out with a colorless blender. I used the same color combination on the little wagons as I did on the train, and now I'm using the color 65 for the tree trunks. In the end, you won't actually be able to see those, so it was kind of a waste to color them, but I didn't know that at that point, so it was fine. Then I'm using a little bit of pale orange for the beak of my penguin, and then going in with a 902 again, the same shade I used on the wheels of the train, to blend out the color on my cute little penguin. And for the white part, I'm bringing in the 904 and a little bit of 200 for the cheeks, and then again blending that out with a colorless blender. For the reindeer, I'm bringing in the number 64, then 72, because the 64 was a bit too neutral. I wanted it to be more of a warm brown. I colored in the antlers and the face in the number 64, and also adding some blush and highlight in the ears with the 200. Then I'm bringing in the number 65 to darken up the deepest areas for my reindeer. And then I'm just blending everything out with a colorless blender. I did use the same shades on the Santa, the same red shades. I used the Slimline Nature Borders to cut a snowy hill, and I ink blended a little bit of tumbled glass on the edge. And then I'm using tumbled glass, and then I intended to use Salty Ocean, Prize Ribbon, Blueprint Sketch, and Chipped Sapphire, but I realized that that really didn't go well with the teal shade I used. So instead of the Prize Ribbon, I will bring in first the Salvaged Patina, and then the Peacock Feathers. Peacock Feathers was a bit too green, so I decided to go in with Broken China instead, and that was the right kind of bluish teal combo that would work with the background and the colored images. Then I'm blending that out with Salvaged Patina to bring in a little bit more green without making the background too dark. And then I'm blending that out with Tumbled Glass. The bottom will be covered with my Snowy Hill, so I didn't really worry about blending that. And then I'm adding in some Chipped Sapphire just to darken up the edges. And then I'm also bringing in some black soot just to make it even darker. Going over the black soot again with a chipped sapphire and then blending out the transition. And now I'm just adding some snowy splatters just to give the background a bit more interest. Then I'm stamping Season's Greetings, or I'm heat embossing Season's Greetings from the stamp set with the Versamark onto a strip of black cardstock. The heat embossing powder I'm using is the Wow Opaque Bright White and Super Fine. And some of the areas of my embossing powder didn't quite cover, so I'm just using a white gel pen to fix those little gaps. Then it's time to assemble my card. I'm using some liquid glue to add the background to a slimline card base. And then I'm also using liquid glue to add my hill. It was a bit too long, so I just snipped off the edge. I had some of the lacy snowflakes already cut out of some shimmer white glitter cardstock. So I just splattered those around the background just to see how it would look. I wanted my critters to line up flush with the edge of the wagon, so I just snipped off the white border on the reindeer and on the penguin, and there you can see that it looks much more seamless. Then I layered the Christmas tree as well as a present behind my cute little penguin. The center of the wagon is just filled with presents and a Christmas tree, just layering them in kind of a random order so that they look cute. And also bringing in my little Christmas tree. And again, snipping off the white border on my reindeer as well, adding him with liquid glue, and also layering some presents behind. And I'm also giving Santa a present to hold on the train. Then I'm gluing down the snowflakes since I like the layout of them. The one up top, you can see I just have a little bit of one left, and I honestly was too lazy to cut more. So I just went with that one, and it filled up the scene nicely, so it was fine. So I just added liquid glue to the back of the Season's Greetings, and then I just slit the partially cut snowflake below, and besides you, nobody will ever know. Then I added some foam tape to the wagons and the train, and I just added them. Then I'm adding one of the links. I'm adding a wagon, one of the links. So I just alternated the colors of the wagons, and then I realized that I had some trouble lining them up straight, so I'm bringing in my T-square ruler just to make sure that the train and the wagons are all on the same line. Then I'm also bringing in the little like puffs of steam from the train, and I accidentally had the like bubbles. They looked better the other way around, so I had just had them wrong. So I just switched them around and I added them in with liquid glue, and that finishes off my card for today. I had the best time making this, and this totally reminds me of the Polar Express movie. Those critters are just the cutest, just peeking out of the little wagons. And I wish you happy holidays, a very Merry Christmas if you celebrate, and of course, all the best for 2022. Have an amazing day. Bye!